The night air hung heavy and still over Harmony Creek, carrying the sweet scent of lilacs from the gardens that lined Elm Street. Streetlights cast a hazy orange glow on the damp asphalt, still slick from an earlier downpour. The distant drone of traffic blended with the insistent buzz of cicadas, and somewhere a lone dog barked twice before going silent. It was the kind of uneventful Thursday night where you figured nothing would ever happen, until it did. Emily Carter walked along the sidewalk, her worn sneakers splashing through small puddles. She was 23, with long dark hair pulled back in a simple ponytail, and tired eyes that still somehow managed to sparkle when she smiled. She had just finished her double shift at the assisted living facility. 12 grueling hours of lifting patients, changing bedpans, and holding the trembling hands of lonely old folks who had absolutely no one else. Her back ached, her feet throbbed, and her wallet held a measly $20 until payday. But Emily never complained. Her grandma raised her to be grateful for what she had, and her guardian, the man who'd been like a father ever since her parents were gone, had taught her that dignity was something no one could ever take from you. Before we go any further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and standing up for what is right, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to this channel. And tell us in the comments where you're watching from, because stories like this remind us that humanity still exists in every corner of the world. 3 blocks away, a black BMW convertible roared through the deserted streets at nearly twice the speed limit. Behind the wheel sat Chad Sterling, 21 years old, son of Senator Harrison Sterling, one of the most powerful politicians in the state. Chad's eyes were glazed over, his reflexes dulled by the champagne he had been chugging at his buddy's penthouse party. His tie hung loose, his designer shirt was unbuttoned, and a cocky smirk played on his lips. He had never faced a single real consequence in his entire life. Speeding tickets magically disappeared. DUIs were reduced to mere warnings. His father's high-priced lawyers had made sure of that. Chad glanced down at his phone, laughing at a stupid text message, and his foot pressed even harder on the accelerator. He never saw the crosswalk. He never saw the woman stepping into the street. The impact was sudden and brutal. Emily's body flew through the air and landed on the unforgiving asphalt with a sickening thud. Her phone shattered, her purse spilled open, scattering her meager possessions across the road. Chad slammed on the brakes, his heart pounding in his chest, for one brief moment. He stared at the crumpled figure in his rearview mirror. He could see her moving, struggling to lift her head. She was alive. She needed help. But Chad Sterling did not stop to help. He did not call an ambulance instead. He floored the gas pedal and disappeared into the night, leaving Emily bleeding on the cold, wet pavement. A neighbor found her 20 minutes later and dialed 911. Emily was rushed to the ER with a broken leg, 3 cracked ribs, and internal bleeding. She survived. But the doctors said she would need months of grueling physical therapy. She would lose her job. She would lose everything. The police investigation moved at a snail's pace. Witnesses described a black BMW, but with no clear license plate. The case quickly went cold. Chad Sterling slept soundly that night, confident that his father's money would protect him once again. But Chad had made one fatal miscalculation. He did not know who Emily Carter was, and more importantly, he did not know who her guardian was. Victor Reyes was 54 years old, with arms like slabs of granite and a beard streaked with silver. Tattoos covered his neck and hands, each one telling a story of a life lived hard and earned harder. His leather cut bore the red and white patch of the Hells Angels, and beneath the chapter name was one word that made grown men step aside: President. When Victor received the call about Emily, something in his chest turned to solid ice. He had raised that girl like his own daughter after his sister passed. He had walked her to school, helped her with her homework, and cried at her high school graduation. And now some rich punk had left her for dead on the side of the road. Victor made some calls. Within 48 hours, he knew everything. The black BMW, the senator's son, the pattern of cover-ups, and the fact that Chad Sterling was planning to flee the country in 3 days to avoid any potential investigation. 2 days later, Chad was leaving his luxury apartment complex, designer sunglasses on, car keys in hand, whistling like a man without a care in the world. Then he heard it, a rumble, deep and low, like thunder rolling across the plains. It grew louder, closer. The ground beneath his feet began to vibrate. Chad looked up and his face went white. Motorcycles, hundreds of them, big Harleys with chrome pipes gleaming in the afternoon sun. They came from every direction, filling the street, the parking lot, the sidewalks. 400 riders, at least. Leather vests everywhere, the red and white patches blazing like fire. They formed a wall around the apartment building, engines growling, faces hard as stone. Chad stumbled backward, his legs suddenly weak. He tried to reach for his phone, but his hands were shaking too badly. A massive figure dismounted from the lead bike and walked toward him with slow, deliberate steps. Victor Reyes stopped 3 feet away, his dark eyes burning with a fury that money could not buy and lawyers could not dismiss. "You know who I am," Victor rumbled, his voice like gravel scraping steel. Chad swallowed hard. His arrogance had finally met something it could not overcome. I don't know what you're talking about," he stammered. Victor stepped closer. "2 nights ago, you hit a woman on Elm Street. You left her bleeding in the road like she was garbage. You drove away without looking back." Chad opened his mouth to deny it, but Victor held up a hand. "That woman is my ward, my blood, the only family I have left." Chad's face crumbled. "Look," he said, his voice cracking, "my father can pay, whatever you want, medical bills, pain and suffering. We can make this go away." Victor laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You think this is about money?" He gestured to the 400 bikers surrounding them. "Every man and woman here has someone they love, a daughter, a sister, a mother, and every one of them knows what it feels like when someone with power thinks they can hurt the powerless and walk away." Chad was trembling now. "What do you want?" he whispered. Victor reached into his cut and pulled out a phone. On it was a recording, security footage from a gas station 2 blocks from the accident. It showed Chad's BMW, clear as day, with the license plate visible, speeding away from the scene. "You're going to walk into that police station down the street," Victor said, his voice dead calm. "You're going to confess to the hit and run. You're going to accept whatever punishment the law hands you. And you're going to do it today." Chad Sterling shook his head, panicked. "My father will destroy you. He'll have every one of you arrested." Victor smiled, a cold, steady smile. "Your father needs votes, Chad. How do you think the voters will react when they see this footage on every news channel?" He leaned closer, his gaze intense. "We're not here to hurt you. We're here to make sure you cannot run from what you did." Tears streamed down Chad's face. He looked around at the wall of Hell's Angels, at the cameras some of them held, at the faces that showed no mercy, but also no cruelty, just justice. "Okay," he whispered, defeated. "Okay, I'll go." Victor nodded, slowly, deliberately. "One of my brothers will escort you, and when you get out, however many years from now, I want you to remember something." He pointed to his chest, his expression solemn. "Emily Carter. Say her name." Chad's voice cracked. "Emily Carter." Victor stepped back, the weight of his words hanging in the air. "Now, you will never forget it." An hour later, Chad Sterling confessed to felony hit and run. The footage went viral, and Senator Harrison Sterling's career collapsed within a week. Emily Carter, still recovering in her hospital bed at Harmony Creek Assisted Living Facility, received a visit from 400 Hell's Angels, who filled the parking lot, each carrying lilacs and envelopes of cash, totaling over $30,000. Emily cried when she saw her guardian walk through the door. "You didn't have to do this," she whispered, overcome with emotion. Victor took her hand gently, his eyes soft. "Your family, Emily," he said softly, "and our family does not leave anyone behind." And before we end this video, we have one special request for you. Comment below with the words "Justice for Emily" to show that you stand with everyone who has ever been forgotten by those in power. Because sometimes the loudest voice for the voiceless doesn't come from a courtroom. It comes from a brotherhood that never forgets. Please like, share, and subscribe if this story touched your heart. And remember, true power isn't about what you can escape, it's about what you choose to face.